Hello, I am Noah Villaverde, and I am beyond excited to announce that you are listening to the very first episode of the Blank Green Canvas podcast. For the uninitiated, this is a podcast that will follow weekly discussions on film, TV, music, and other real-life fascinating stories. Now, this podcast in particular is centered on the series finale of Game of Thrones, and will be filled with spoilers if you have not seen it yet. So if you have not seen the series finale, please tune out. But if you have, feel free to follow along. Now, this discussion is going to be hosted by me, as will every other episode of the Blank Green Canvas podcast in the future. But it also features fellow friends of mine that are guests, Ram Reyes, Jorge Rodriguez, and Madison Eaton. And they all, it was just a fun time shooting this podcast with them because it gave us an opportunity to discuss our honest thoughts on the final season as a whole and just how it compares to the rest of the series. So it was definitely a lively discussion, to say the least, and I am really excited for you guys to finally listen to the very first episode of the Blank Green Canvas podcast. Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Blank Green Canvas podcast. I am your host, Noah Villaverde, and with me today is Ram Reyes,
Hey.
Jorge Rodriguez,
I said I was going to say ahoy, so there I said ahoy.
and
Ahoy.
Madison Eaton.
Salutations.
Ooh,
Wonderful
like
greetings, everybody. So,
salutations.
okay, so
Hey.
today we are going to be discussing the series finale of Game of Thrones, as well as the 8th and final season as a whole. First of all, it's worth noting that last night's finale was
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay, before we get into that, but ratings-wise,
All right.
in terms of viewership, HBO announced that it broke records. It broke its record of the highest telecast it's ever had. On HBO alone, it made around 13 point. I'm getting the numbers wrong, but 13 point whatever million views on the network. But when you combine that with HBO Go or HBO Now, which all of us used last night when we watched the premiere, it adds up to 19.3 million views. So It just goes to show that the impact that Game of Thrones has. And also, that means 19.3 different units were streaming it. You can't account like how many people were having watch parties. So it could be like even like in the tens of millions of people, almost hundreds of millions of people tuned in last night to watch the series finale of what is definitely one of the biggest television series of all time. So, reactions to say were pretty mixed from critics and fans alike.
It was the most people have ever been disappointed.
There's
At least half of those 19 million disappointed.
Okay.
Well, maybe.
All right.
I
So
give you that.
the episode was entitled "The Bells." And
No, it wasn't.
What the hell? No.
Well, not the Bells.
the
Sorry,
Iron Throne.
my brain. It's the Iron Throne. The Iron
over.
Throne.
Do over.
Do over. Okay, but so the Iron Throne. So it all led up to this moment. We only had 6 episodes this season, and now we finally get to the moment to who eventually gets to sit on the Iron Throne, or is there an Iron Throne to be sat on at all after all the terror and destruction that Daenerys Targaryen brought upon King's Landing. So we're going to begin with Ram, who certainly has opinions on last night's series finale,
Yes.
and he actually read the leaks beforehand,
Oh, I
which
read
turned
the
out to be
leaks.
true.
Yeah, they were true. I read it on r/freefolk. Shout out to r/freefolk, the best.
Bro,
The best
you
subreddit.
messed it up for me because you told me because you couldn't keep it to yourself. And then I was like,
told me. You
Yeah, I did.
you asked me to tell you.
No, I didn't. I said, okay, yeah, you could tell me since you already
Then
told
he
me.
gave you permission.
You consented to the spoilers, and you just didn't believe me. And then when I was right, you're like, "Why did you tell me it was true?" I'm like, "I told you it was true."
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but you read the leaks the day after.
The day after the bells, I was like, "Wow,
Yeah.
this really sucks," and I want to be not disappointed by the next episode.
Okay, so knowing the leaks and
Oh.
getting into the episode, how did that impact your reaction to the episode?
I
as
liked
a whole?
it because I was already like bracing myself for Bran to become king. I was like, oh, okay, this is. I read the leaks, I laughed, and I was like, well, this is fucking stupid. And it was actually less stupid when I saw it on screen. So I'm like, all right. So all the scenes are just, I like, which proves to the point that like the cinematics, the visuals, and like the acting really does carry this bad script.
Absolutely.
To the fuck, like it's fucking like the. Like, I don't know. What's a good metaphor for this? Like a football metaphor? Like a quarterback just really sucks, but like the whole team is just like.
I was thinking it's like when you're going to a restaurant and like the food looks, or like when you smell like really good food, it smells so good, and then when you take a bite out of it, it tastes like shit.
Yeah, like the service is great.
It's like everything about everything.
It
about
wasn't all shit.
Not entirely. I'll give you
maybe
that.
when you taste it, it's like it's
food.
when you taste it, maybe it's not like bad, but it's
Trying
just
to
like
find a good
not
metaphor
It's
for
not
this.
fulfilling.
Like,
It's a decent meal.
It's like
that
a
tastes. This tastes okay, but if you're not fulfilled, like you leave the
Yeah, it
restaurant.
was
and you feel
unsatisfying.
Yeah.
It's
I
like-
waited a long time for this. There's a lot of hubbub about it.
I liked it. I thought it was a
You want a
great
medal?
ending.
You want a
I
medal
thought it
for
was
this?
a great ending to the story, man.
There's no way that's a great ending.
How
to
is
the
it
story?
okay, so
Well, we'll get to it.
Before we get into
We'll
that,
like,
I like the
specifics.
food analogy that you guys brought up because it's like you go to a fancy restaurant, you pay a lot of money. It's HBO, it's a big cable network. You pay $14.99 a month if you have HBO Go. And I bring up the fancy restaurant metaphor or analogy because I think it's like you go there, the meal is okay, but you leave and you're like, man, I need to go to like In-N-Out or something, get another burger.
No,
to
it's
fill me
kind of
up.
like I've been getting the same meal and it's really great and it keeps getting better. And then at one point, the quality just started dipping. I'm like, what the heck? What did they change? What changed the recipe? There was a change in the recipe. It's like they were rushing it. It's like they didn't even like cook the meat at all.
That seems like the
well,
main.
that's some people like it
Yeah.
medium rare, bro.
Yeah, but this was served like straight off the
Yeah.
fucking cow. It was so rushed, like
Wow.
shit, here you go. And then was it just dressed up with like everything else?
Wow. Well, Ram certainly had a lot of thoughts on the series finale overall. Jorge, who is perhaps the biggest Game of Thrones fan I know.
Also the most brainwashed by it.
Brainwashed, or more of an apologist. You've actually read the A Song of Ice and Fire books, which
Yeah.
we'll get into that part, by the way, in a minute. What did you think overall of the series finale, given that you're a fan of the books, you've read them, and...
I thought it was good. I thought it was good. Now, there were some things I didn't like about the season overall, but I felt that they could have gone so many other ways with it, and they could have just totally, I don't know, just made a disservice to the series.
Right.
But I feel like this was a good ending for the series.
Okay, so explain in what ways you found it to be a solid ending for the series overall.
Just the way that, like how Daenerys died at the hands of Jon.
Right.
The two main characters throughout the whole time. It had to happen. Like this came to an end, to a time where it was like, like two trains crossing and they were gonna crash.
They were forced to crash into each other.
Right.
Yes, they were forced.
It was
That's
like
what you do. You
also like there was no
make things happen.
there was never ever like chemistry between them. So from the very start, like
Their chemistry was fine.
there was forced as hell.
No.
It's no
So
Jon and Ygritte.
forced.
It's no Jon and Ygritte.
It was just
It-
no
it's
chemistry.
nothing. Cersei and Jamie had better chemistry than that.
Which is awkward. Well, then again, they're both couples that are related to each other, and you get.
Well, it's
you get
because they
mixed.
met in season 7, so that was already the start of when they were like rushing through everything. So
Well, that and also you couldn't help but feel the fan service element because a lot of fans always wanted to see how Jon and Dany would interact if they would ever meet.
See,
You know,
well,
so-
I'm gonna have to like put 7 into this whole garbage season because 7 had a lot of the same faults as 8. We just kind of forgot about it. It was 2 years ago. But like, man, they really had 2 years to make this shit, and y'all really fucked up.
I get that. Well,
And I feel bad for the crew. Like, I'm just gonna say this first. Like, cast and crew, like, you guys are doing great, honey. Like, y'all did so good.
like Emmy-worthy stuff.
Like,
right there.
oh my god, like, you guys are so great. Like, I
Yeah.
love you all. This is not a reflection of you. You guys just
Yeah.
did what you guys had to do and, like, what you guys were written.
Right.
It's like when you get, like, we're all journalists here. It's like when you're given, like, a really short, bad story, but we have to fill in space, so we have to, like, dressy it up with, like, pictures and graphics and editors that are trying their best to make it look readable. This is what
Right.
it feels like.
Yeah, like if you couldn't tell, like in particular, me, Ram, and Jorge, we've had history. I'm reporting for a newspaper at a local city college, and we've been through many hours of trying to get the paper filled up, so there's not a lot of white space. Just to give you context there. But moving on to
the
Maddie.
Fresno City College Rampage, by the way.
Yeah,
Shout out to the Rampage.
Absolutely. Well, now we go on to Maddie. We're just going to ask.
Yeah, finally, let the woman talk.
Yes, let her talk.
Let her talk.
Please.
No, what I think about the finale, I thought, I don't know, I guess I just left, honestly, I was really disappointed. I just was left like, not with what happened exactly, I think it's just the delivery. I think it was the delivery of it all that really was.
In
like,
what specific ways?
part.
Like any details?
Like, I just think that I wasn't left like. I didn't think it was spectacular.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even like Danny's death scene, I was like, wow, that felt really like just what?
Wait,
Like,
I was gonna like remember when Daenerys was like, "Guy just said I love you," or like this man. What was that scene with the Dario? It's like talking to
The man
Terry-
That was in
I
season 6,
didn't
right?
care.
yeah, season 6 where it's like he said he loves me,
But I didn't
and
care.
I felt nothing. That's literally what happened. I'm like, this whole show
At the very
had like
least,
the biggest twist, and I felt nothing.
yeah, and I felt that's what I felt. I felt like
was that what she said? Or was that
That's what Daenerys said.
to Dario after they slept
To
together?
Tyrion,
right.
saying that like this man like loves me so much, would do anything for me, and I felt nothing.
Yeah.
Well, at least he got something out of it because on the other hand, old Jorah didn't get anything, sadly. Rest in peace, Jorah.
Yeah,
okay.
Sir Friend Zone.
So yeah, exactly. But in regards to the finale overall, having slept over it and thought of it a bit more, I must say, I think I liked it. You know, like on its own, story wise, I thought this makes sense. But for me, the major issue with the whole finale, or just this whole season in general, as we move on to that in a few minutes, my issue with the finale and this whole season is that it just felt like we just had to rush here. It felt like Dave Benioff Dave Benioff and D.B. Weiss, like they had 2 years, right? 2 years to get this all done. Only 6 episodes. We thought, oh, cool. That means they're gonna have longer times, more budget, and the production value is great. Direction is really good overall with the visuals, and the actors and actresses are all bringing their A game. I just got to shout out to Peter Dinklage, obviously. I will say, for the issues that we had with the episode last night, I felt touched by how Peter Dinklage acted in the moment where he discovered Jaime and Cersei.
Oh,
That moment
was pretty touching.
was really touching, and I give all the credit to Peter Dinklage on that. I mean, he won 3 Emmys for a reason.
Oh yeah. Also, this can we talk about like in that scene? I'm like, there was like a part of the thing where there was no rock over it. I'm like,
Right.
you guys could have just moved over there, right?
Right.
You guys could have just moved like 20 feet to the left,
Sure.
and then you
Well,
would have to survive.
there was no way out.
Sure.
They were trying to find a way out, and that's where they didn't get. Did you not see the freaking?
But did you not see the episode that we watched? There was literally a
I'm sorry,
place
that-
where there was like
that
clearly
also-
nothing was like was caved in.
that part to me, their ending was also very unsatisfying. Also, that I felt
Oh yeah, their
like-
ending
Oh yeah.
sucks.
Both of their endings, like Jaime's arc. Okay, so about Jaime's
Trash.
arc, like it seemed like it was headed somewhere. That was one of the most well-praised arcs in the whole series, Jaime.
But throughout the
Right?
whole time, he said, "I want to die in the arms of the woman I love."
Sure, I
That was the
understand
thing.
it.
And he only really loved one woman. Yeah, he had affection for Brienne, but he wasn't his
Poor
love.
man.
It wasn't the love of his life.
So the lesson
No,
is
I
that
kind of I don't know. I kind of disagree with that because like I feel like what they had in the beginning, it was love. It was like, but it was like this tragic love story that
For
they
better
could
or
never be
worse.
together. They could never be together, and then just like shit on it at the very end.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean?
the
So would you guys
lesson
agree
was-
that Cersei's death was just underwhelming given the
Yeah,
nature
she
of
was
the
the
series?
baddest bitch in Westeros, and she
deserved-
died by bricks.
She deserved like a bad bitch death. Like
Like she deserved
Yeah,
like
she deserved like an
a
execution.
blaze,
Her
and
head
even if it
caught
was an
off.
execution, it would have been a blaze of glory for her because it was like, yes, I did all I did. Okay, kill me. It's fine.
Like they even shitted on Cersei's character at the end of it. I'm like,
I mean, going on Cersei, we had to really praise Lena Headey.
oh yeah, it was a great performance. But I'm like,
Yeah.
man, you guys are really like ruining her character.
Like she got a great
she did
paycheck.
nothing. She did nothing
Yeah.
at the end.
Just
She really did nothing.
She
this
just
this
stood in nice,
episode.
beautiful scenery and
Dude,
just had
okay.
some wine
Also-
every episode or whatever.
Dude, also Daenerys and Missandei didn't even have a conversation this season. So why does she even give a shit about her death? Like not once did they have a conversation in this season.
It subverted our expectations.
Of
Oh,
subverted.
that's a common
Subversive.
criticism that's been used for a lot of recent geek properties. It's been often used in arguments for films like The Last
Yeah, I
Jedi
know.
or other stuff like there. We're not going to get into Star Wars talk because I can.
Oh
go
no,
all
Star
day.
Wars has to be some fucking way. Oh, sorry, some effing way Star Wars gets involved in this garbage because like I'm pretty sure David Weiss or whatever David
D&D.
Benioff and DB Weiss
Yeah.
really did shortchange us just so they could work on Star Wars.
They were eager to finish.
They wanted to
Yeah.
work on Star Wars, so they'd cut Game of Thrones short. I mean, like that's just like what the heck.
That's definitely an issue. Like going back.
So they can go and ruin Star Wars too.
Yeah, so they can ruin Star Wars, which
Even
is already
more- even
ruined.
more
So
than-
whatever.
yeah, even more
Okay,
than
that's
Star
another
Wars.
subject for another time. I definitely get animated when it comes to Star Wars.
But
stuff.
like they wanted to like work on it, so
Yeah,
they
it-
just literally like F this. We're just gonna quickly go. You could feel it. You
Yeah.
could feel it in the season that they wanted to be over.
And it's worth noting that D&D, they mentioned that when the finale was going to air, they would stay away from the internet
Yeah.
and get really drunk to avoid the reactions from fans. And I guess in a lot of ways, they kind of made the right decision.
Also, Dave Benioff wrote X-Men Origins Wolverine. So why did we let this guy work?
How
on
did I
Game of
not know
Thrones?
that? Wow.
Why did we let him work on this?
Bro, he also wrote Troy.
Yeah, so I think the
Troy was
piece
a
of
pretty cool.
the piece of shit of X-Men Origins
I
kind of balances
I don't
out.
think it was that bad. Like I don't think the writing was that bad. Yes, there were some shitty things that happened.
No.
But the-
No. Listen. Because the thing is that you can tell. I was actually talking to Ram about this a few weeks ago.
I do agree. I do agree that
Oh,
they were rushed.
okay, wait,
I do
wait.
agree that they were rushed.
So like, I feel like this season feels very impersonal. Like we get in all the other seasons, even the bad ones, we get this really in-depth look at these characters and their development and their relationships with each other. And in this, there was none of that. There was none of that. So that's why like that felt so disappointing in the end. At the end, it felt flat because it's just like these big scenes where they're all together, but it's really like, and even like the scenes where like I was supposed to feel warm feelings, I'm like, it just feels like there's nothing there. It feels empty. It feels hollow to me.
I definitely felt that,
Even on the finale when they're all sitting at the council table.
Oh man,
And
that
it
was so
just-
stupid.
It
It
should have
felt so
felt. It should have
forced.
felt epic. It should
It
have felt like,
didn't,
oh,
and
it's
it
built
didn't.
up to this moment, and it just kind of feels like, wasn't there that line where Tyrion, where he's just questioning them? You know, we are the most powerful people in all of Westeros. If we wanted to choose a leader, just choose one. And to me,
Okay,
that
well-
line felt like the writers was being meta, just saying, you know what, we have the power. to
Also,
choose
there was
who's
like
on the
jokes
throne.
that didn't need to be in it. Like
Yeah.
when Sam was like, "What if we had democracy?" And then everybody laughed. I'm like, why did you write this in there?
I'll admit, I kind of chuckled at that moment.
Why did you write this in
Bro,
here?
they went full Phantom Menace.
Yeah, speaking
Yeah,
of
which is
it's
why
celebrating
it's
20th
bad.
anniversary.
Menace sucks.
The same week.
Hey, I like Phantom Menace, alright?
Oh god.
Okay, Jorge,
Also,
I need
like
to
when
talk
like
to you after this.
when like Daenerys is like enthroned, I'm like, I'm gonna free everybody with my power. Come join me. And I'm like, is this episode 3? I have brought peace and prosperity to my new empire. I'm like, what the heck?
And then you mentioned how basically you felt more convinced by Anakin's turn than
Yeah,
you did.
Anakin had a better turn to evil than freaking
I
Daenerys.
mean, a lot can be said about George Lucas, but he knows how to write like, structure.
But Daenerys was always evil.
No,
she was always
wasn't.
evil.
Jorge, what the
Oh.
hell?
I explained it to
Jorge,
you
no, no,
before.
no.
I explained it to
Jorge,
you.
what the
Explain it.
hell?
The whole thing was about like her and her journey, right?
Right.
How she went from being like sold into some
I'm about to go crazy right now. I'm gonna go crazy. right now.
Okay. So what do you mean by like she was always evil? Was it because of her dad, like the whole Mad King, and how it's like you can't escape your family's legacy or something?
Her journey herself. Like when she left the city of Car, she had everybody there killed, right? By the jockey took everything and then they got
She
out.
had everybody. She had the people that stole her dragons killed.
Yeah, but even the ones that were innocent or were only helping, right? It's the same thing with the masters. I was telling Rem, the same thing with the masters at Junkai. She killed all the masters, even the one that weren't against her completely. She had no.
If you couldn't watch, Maddie actually just stepped out of her chair just to
Then in Marine,
I had to take my jacket off.
She
It's
killed.
getting hot. It's getting hot. in
She
here.
killed the masters.
Sure, that's what you
she
did.
killed the masters that crucified even those that weren't really there. Like even those.
Okay,
Like-
you're looking at this like
No.
these are all people from a group with power.
Yes.
I mean, yeah,
Exactly.
you're gonna kill
Yeah,
the
and there was
people in power.
there was a thin line,
but
and she
like-
crossed it.
No, she didn't.
There's
There
no
was a
thin
time-
line
there was a
there.
She
If
literally
you're
did.
like
She killed
passively
innocent people.
if you're passively supporting like a structure that's like evil, then you're kind of like complicit in it. So, and she's breaking the wheel.
And that's what plays into why Tyrion just kind of gave up and just said, hey, he just threw away his badge, saying, you know what, I can't support
Yeah,
this
because like
anymore."
she actually
Although,
crossed
which
a
is-
real line where she killed innocent. Like she killed 0 slaves.
Yeah.
0 slaves.
Yeah.
And remember that one time that her dragon killed a kid, an innocent kid? You really telling me this person who spent like I don't know, like a whole episode of two, like crying, and, like locked up her dragons.
She locked up the dragons.
Locked up her dragons.
She locked up the dragons that didn't even
do anything.
Didn't even burn the child.
You're gonna tell me that Daenerys is gonna burn children within a matter of like an episode?
Exactly, because the thing is that she kills all the slave masters. She's like, all of them have to go.
Wasn't there a time passage though between 4 and 5? You know, like how much time passed between those last
Daenerys literally sacrificed all of her troops to help the North. She could have like went to the King's Landing to like get the throne, but she sacrificed her own army to help the North. I'm like, this person lost everything.
No, but it wasn't people that didn't. It wasn't slaves that she was saving. It was people that liked her.
I know, but with a person who was evil,
people that weren't with her.
Okay. Well,
she didn't care for
you also
them.
who wasn't with her, the Northmen.
Yeah, but Jon Snow was with her.
But why would
she was doing it for Jon Snow?
Why would an evil person sacrifice half her troops to gain the one thing she's always wanted in her life was the Iron Throne? Literally the one thing she wanted from the very beginning, the Iron Throne. She stopped doing that to help the North.
Yeah, she could have literally not done that.
If she was really that evil, she would have gone straight to Westeros.
Dude, because Jon Snow showed her the signs in the cave, bro. It was Jon Snow.
Wow.
It's like she had like convinced her actually going to the North. That was Jon Snow.
Daenerys had some good in her. Daenerys and Cersei were the same two people, but Daenerys decided to be a good person. Guess me, she's not evil.
No, she was a good person to those who were with her, to those who were like alliance with her. Not to those that didn't care for her, not to those that didn't like her.
But you're
Why did she burn everybody in King's Landing?
Jorge, wait a second. Because now we're getting into this whole thing about like the same thing that the show writers mentioned, which I also have to say something about those freaking behind the scenes episodes. Why should have not done that? Why do you have to explain? They forgot they needed to do. Why do you have to explain that?
Yeah, that's like
you're making bad decisions.
But that's something I've always had issue with when it comes to creators and their art, wherever they have to project things onto something there without just letting the audience take the information that they got already. I mean, I get it. They wanted to have a commentary on that. You know, they usually do that with audio commentary. But the commentary is supposed to
further the understanding. Yeah. This is their just like
HBO does that in all of it. No. HBO does that in all of their series.
But what I wanted to say
was they do it with Barry? Maybe.
Wait, let her.
Yeah, they do it with Barry.
No, but what I wanted to say. I forgot what I wanted to say.
Oh god, that happens. That happens. Like, look, the show has brought, especially this last season, has brought a lot of passion out of all of us. Let's discuss a certain plot point in the final episode. So we briefly touched on Daenerys' death.
I remember what I was saying. Sorry about that.
No problem.
No, what I want to say was that now that comes to this perspective. What they said in that behind the scenes was that it's disturbing how she handles her enemies. But I'm saying that how she handles her enemies is how any. Oh, about to get feminist right now. Is how any male ruler would handle their enemies. If they're really think about the Dothraki. Think about where she came from. She married into the Dothraki, right? Yeah. She married Khal Drogo, and that is how they dealt with things. And she learned from that. And that is how it is. It's very to her it is very black and white. To her it is very like I stand for what's good and I don't understand like why. I guess the thing I don't understand.
I know what you're saying. Like it was very black and white in that innocent people will always be innocent people.
Yeah.
Will always be innocent people.
Yeah. So I don't understand.
Like it's so black and white that like only the people in power will die. But in this case, she's like, oh fuck that, everyone's gonna die.
Right.
I just don't see how like that where that comes from. Like I don't understand how people are. I don't know. I don't get how people are judging her for like.
What
her
mental
decisions.
gymnastics did we have to do to get to that point?
Like what you're saying is right, but that's what makes tyrants. And that's what makes them go over the edge.
Yeah, but like we were but like we're talking about like the black and white that she will never kill innocent people. She will never.
And whenever she ended up doing so, she felt guilt like throughout
literally
the series,
characteristic that Daenerys is always projected for at least 7 seasons. And then we just throw that out in the last season.
That was people who loved her. That was people who said she was their savior.
Innocent.
She was their savior.
But she had to gain that from them.
These people weren't their.
But there wasn't even any
people.
scenes there. There wasn't even any scenes that booed her. There was literally no scenes that showed that. There was no scenes of showing the people of King's Landing being like impetuous or just like angry at her. Maybe like kind of like when Tyrion was in that like court. Maybe if a scene was like that, like we could see the faces of the people. But all I see were people running away. That's all I could see.
And burning to a crisp.
Yeah, that's all I could see. Like, there was no like visual, no conversation to show that the people of King's Landing hated her. There was literally
skeptical.
nothing.
Like even something like that, you know, like they barely even.
The only time that happened was in Winterfell, but the Winterfell didn't die.
Yeah.
Right.
So why would I assume that the
And
people of
they're just
Winterfell
naturally-
felt the same in
Yeah.
King's Landing
And people
when
of
they're
Winterfell
two
are-
different
Northerners are
people?
just naturally distrusting. That makes sense. Like you need to earn their trust. Like,
Yeah, we saw that especially with
No.
Sansa's case. You know, like she, like right from the beginning, she was always skeptical of Dany because, you know, given like she even talked trash on Jon in regards to that, like of his unwavering trust of Dany.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up, you know, speaking of which, I wanted to bring up specifically the way we led up to the moment in which Jon kills Dany, because in theory, I kind of like the idea that they were trying to go for.
Oh yeah, I
Symbolically,
yeah.
it makes sense. It felt very Shakespearean, but my issue
But,
with
like,
that is that
basic
it's so
Shakespearean.
abrupt. It's so abrupt.
like
It's
elementary Shakespearean.
Yeah.
Like they watched Romeo and Juliet. Like, oh, let's do that one.
Yeah, it's like you have.
I wish I could have seen him actually stabbing her.
I know.
Yeah.
Why didn't they actually show it?
I don't
Like,
know.
what, they
Because
wanted
they kind of
to-
forgot.
Because
No, they were
like,
too
it would have
close.
been. I feel like it would have been like a much better scene if.
No,
he
the
had
leak
shown her
said what the
stabbing.
leak said that she kneels down and like no. No, he kneels down and then feels her what's it called? Shows his loyalty and then like stabs her as he stood up. But I guess that didn't happen.
That's an
But
interesting
I
way.
didn't know that Drogon was gonna melt the Iron Throne, which
Yeah,
made
poor Dany. She doesn't even get to sit on it for like a moment. No one else gets to sit on the throne. It's gone at this point.
Very symbolic. She's so close.
Whoa,
and
yeah,
so far.
this like whole episode was full of like baby's first symbolism.
Oh.
Everyone's like, ooh, you see that? The dragon wings were in his bird.
Okay, I'll admit that was a great visual. I'll give it that. Just in terms of like a visual splendor of it all, I was like, oh, that's really
Oh,
That's cool,
get
but
it?
yeah,
She's
I
a
don't know.
dragon. I'm like, we could have
It was
done this.
cool. It was a cool shot, but not the coolest.
Yeah, it was a cool shot, but like
Yeah.
people are thinking that's like fucking.
the best shot of the
You
whole
know, like that
Crazy.
tweet that came out earlier saying this
Thank
shot
you.
should be shown in all film classes and
I'm like,
everything else like
oh,
that.
cool, get it? She's a dragon. Okay.
Yeah, well,
Cool.
that's those are
No,
our
but
thoughts.
on that scene, I like that Drogon didn't just kill Jon.
Yeah, that was
Also, where
cool.
is Drogon now? He just
Who
flew
cares?
off, like just else going
Where?
nowhere.
She's going.
Yeah,
He
I
went.
think
He
it-
flew off to go find Mira.
Bruh, honestly, that scene when Drogon was like trying to like pet,
Dude, that
like,
was so sad.
I was like, damn, if
That was
this,
literally so
if we just
sad.
led up to this moment way better, I would have actually died.
I think that's
cried.
the root
I
issue of
probably
it
would've
all.
cried.
Like we
I probably
just
would've cried.
we just got here way too fast. I got whiplash.
Yeah, we got way too fast here. Just like I see the ending destination. Like the finale had like more shit in between.
Yeah,
I would have been fine with it actually. I'm like, okay, this is
Yeah.
okay.
maybe a year later, not just a few weeks later.
Yeah.
Or something
Yeah, but
that.
like,
So the
yeah.
fallout of everything else, like without a leader in power for like a year or two, even that would have been an interesting take.
Yeah, what the hell was the time skip between like?
A few weeks.
Was it weeks?
Maybe a month.
It's like summer. Like it
Yeah.
looks like summer. I'm like, wow,
Well-
winter really came and gone.
Well, remember,
In,
like that wasn't
two-
snow. That was ash.
I know,
Everything
but
else,
like
you know,
the
so-
whole winter is coming thing
Yeah.
was like
Does
that
it
was
snow?
of no consequence.
No.
Does it snow in King's Landing?
Yeah, it does.
It
Because
does,
around the
but-
end of season 6
Yeah.
or end season 7.
Well, the thing was,
I don't remember because it was so long ago.
Well, you know, it was like the
No,
There's 73 episodes. There's a lot of information to
the
take
thing
in.
was that it snows in the winter has been going on since the start of season 7.
Yeah, right.
yeah, but it definitely
So
was
it's
not.
We
been going
kind of
on.
forgot about
But- I
winter.
forgot the winter was
the
there.
reason why it was the longest winter it was because of the long night.
Oh, right.
It
Yeah.
was not the longest winter.
Well,
Oh, back then. Yeah,
That's what
well,
it was
Ned
supposed
Stark
to be.
really like warned us for winters coming for no reason, I guess.
Okay, that's another
Destroyed-
thing that I wanted to bring up is they
destroyed the Night
put
King.
You know, the one of the things I really love about Game of Thrones is like the supernatural element, like all the magic and all that stuff.
Three-eyed raven?
I love it.
Oh my god.
But
Can we talk about Bran?
But
Oh.
wait,
In a
wait.
moment.
But they make it such an integral part of like the plot, and then
None of that shit.
but it never even mattered in the end because it's kind of like, okay, but then who's the real bad guy? Like, is it really like these supernatural stuff, or is it like the evil man?
I
Like,
think the
don't
Night
get
King
it.
was trying to save us from Bran. I think Night
I
King
know,
was
right?
actually the hero.
Night King was a hero.
The Night King was the actual
see that.
hero.
Well, the Night King and the White Walkers is always taken as an allegory on like, climate change and how, like, hey, you know what? All this political tribalism that we have.
There's no message in Game of Thrones. Why are you looking into it too much? That's the message.
Well, it's what I look. What
Isn't
I
that the
think-
message? There's no message, you idiots.
Yeah, you're just looking into it too much, bro.
Well, I always
Yeah,
thought-
it's like every book has like no meaning to it.
Well, it's
There's
not
no lessons to
necessarily
be
what
learned.
they were going for, but it's what a lot of people, including myself, has taken
Yeah,
from it.
everyone in Christianity was looking to the Bible too much. How about you guys read a different book?
All right, that's great. Okay, all right, that's a funny comment, man. But in regards to this, let's talk about the council scene and the choosing of who was going to sit on the throne, or whatever throne is left. You know? So we get everybody there. You know, Yara's back.
It was an epic fail
Ooh,
for feminism.
Rob and Aaron?
Epic
Hot.
fail for feminism. Yeah,
Rob
after
Aaron was
sucking on that.
hot.
Sucking on that.
Yeah, so everyone
Ooh.
they get went back in the circle and everything else to discuss it. And I brought up the whole moment where Tyrion just goes like, "Let's just choose somebody," which was probably what D&D thought to themselves when they were writing it.
But they
And-
left him in chains for some reason. He was
Yeah.
still bound.
Also, why was Sam there? Wasn't
He's
there
there for the
other?
history?
Wasn't
He's
there
trying to
other
lock us in
like
history.
higher ranking maesters?
No, because he was at that time he was the Lord of the Reach.
Samuel Tarly?
Yeah.
No.
Was he Lord of the Reach?
No way.
When the fuck
Was
did
he?
that happen?
Yeah, right before. Yeah. When,
Yeah, but he took
when
the
before-
black.
Before they made him, he was the only one with the Reach.
Sam?
Yes.
But he took the
but-
black.
Okay, who else was there from the Reach?
Nobody. Everybody died.
And he was the one from the Reach, representing the Reach.
Huh.
But
That makes no sense.
Okay, so
How does
yeah.
it make no sense?
Like literally, the maesters couldn't send like the fucking what was that one actor, the really big one, the archmaester, whatever the other
Broadbent?
maester. Yeah, whatever that
Yeah,
guy
I
was.
forgot his name.
Like
You
he's
can
really
draw.
not that important in like the whole grand scheme of like the political political parties.
Okay, I mean, you could also say that he was there because he wanted to log in. It's a historic moment.
I
You know,
guess,
Sam
but, like,
is just the biggest history.
Didn't he
buff in
like
Westeros.
disobey like the maesters?
He did. Yeah.
So why would they
Yeah.
send him to go there?
He got his chain back. He got his chain at the end of
Okay,
the
I don't know,
so
whatever.
and
The
who,
king made him.
Who cares?
who was it again that stood up to offer like, hey, I think I should lead? Who was it?
Oh, that
again?
was Edmure.
Was that
yeah,
yeah.
Edmure, of course it was.
Wow, they
Then
really
Sansa-
dedicated at least like 2 minutes to that.
And then Sansa was like, yeah, sit down. You know.
They really
I don't
dedicated
want you.
all these like
Yas
really shitty
Queen.
jokes.
That was the Yas Queen moment.
I was right there with her. Like, yeah, just sit down. We don't care about
There's
you
so
anymore.
many
Sorry.
bad jokes that were like, we could have juiced that.
And
Like,
then-
they
yeah.
literally did not have to make Edmure get up and
I
talk
love
at
those
all.
jokes, bro.
It felt like
I
they
know,
felt
but we
sorry for
literally
Edmure
already
and
have a
replace
short
him.
season. Why are
And
we
gave him,
wasting
like, hey, we'll
it?
give you a moment here. Just enjoy
They
it.
didn't need
Oh,
to.
and speaking of the council scene, how about that water bottle though?
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
even notice it.
There was a
Yeah,
water
whatever.
bottle. I think it was.
I didn't notice the cup. I didn't, and you could say that I'm.
Well, it's because
oblivious
we were
to-
focused on the episode itself, but when you look at it, it's like it's just kind of.
I feel like the
indicative of
caster
whole
is
Russian
trying to
nature.
like sabotage it. But whatever.
Yeah, but then it all leads up to Tyrion basically saying, "How about Bran the Broken?"
Dumb.
That was actually really super dumb.
Dumb.
That was so dumb.
Why did you? think
Especially
that
with his
comment
like explanation of like,
Yeah. The best
he has a great story. He has the best story of all of us.
Really?
I'm like, literally, there's like everybody in that room had a better story
much
than Bran.
more interesting story. So much so that
Literally, there's a guy that died
Bran
and got
was absent
revived.
from all of season 5.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Great
Yeah.
story, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then it ends with like, "Why did you think I come all this way?"
Okay, that was even more like suspicious because that means that Bran manipulated the whole season
Yes.
to get him to be the
The
titan.
Night King was protecting us from Bran, bro.
Yeah.
I love your reaction, by the way, when we were watching it last night, when Tyrion came up and just started thinking about just mentioning Bran, and you just were audibly loud about
It's
it.
like because the leaks were right, and I'm like, oh my god,
Because you read it.
This is
Yeah,
real.
because you read it.
So good.
Like, it just didn't feel earned. Like, I agree with you guys there. It's like, it just didn't feel
it
earned.
made no sense. He said
And also,
0 lines.
All Bran did was just sit down and just say some, I don't know what, like diatribes or
And
whatever.
that
about
somehow
some
makes him
destiny.
worthy of being king. That somehow
Literally
makes
made
him...
no
They
sense.
really could have done something cool with Bran, right? They really could have done something really fascinating, showcase the true
They
nature
made zero-
of his powers as the three-eyed
There was
raven.
no power. All he did was like, remember, this is actually the design.
Also, my
Like,
biggest
that's
issue,
what
they
I
don't
mean.
show... There was a lot of interesting visuals they showcased when he first learned how to beat the three-eyed raven from Max von Sydow back 2 seasons ago. There were so many cool visual exercises they could have used to showcase the power of the three-eyed raven this season. If anything, you should have done it this season. Like,
Yeah.
visually,
That's
it would
what
have
I'm
been
saying
incredible.
about the
So many
elements,
like times,
those
I'm like,
supernatural
he-
elements.
he-
They are
Right.
They make
He
it
didn't
such a good
use
point
warging.
and
Like he
nothing
used
was
zero
there.
warging for like the one time he used it was to go into birds to do nothing. We never got an explanation why he did that, other than like, oh, he was looking to look at the Night King. Which who did he tell?
Yes.
He was scouting, but who did he tell? Nobody.
Yes, and okay, so...
We kind of forgot. We kind of forgot about
Like
that.
he could have used
forgot about
warging.
his
Like
warging
look at how
skill.
warging was like a thing in like the past season to protect himself.
Right.
Literally did zero warging in this season.
Yeah.
Did nothing to
Then
protect
why is it-
himself.
then why does he have the
Why
power?
is he have the powers?
Then why does he have the
That's the thing. Yeah, that's a huge issue in regards to how like D&D just seemed to have rushed the whole writing with the series finale and the whole season in general, which leads us to so Bran is now the king of all of Westeros on his nice rolling throne of his own, and now that leads to old Jon Snow. Oh, poor Aegon Targaryen.
Wow, he got wrecked.
He ends up going back to where they start. So I guess the whole theme, especially with the Starks, is that you just go back to where you're meant to be or where you started in a lot of ways. You know, like we go to Jon, right? He just goes back to what he's been doing like from the first season.
Dude,
what he's
John
destined to
does
be.
like, fuck, it just sucks. Like, what's the point? What's the point of that?
Yeah,
They
that was.
It would have been
Right.
cliche. It would have been cliched, yes, if he ended up on the throne. But I would have preferred that, honestly, because I know it's like a typical like fan servicey thing. But given the nature of him, it would have been nice thematically how he wasn't a bastard this whole time. He was actually the true heir, and he decided to say, you know what? I don't want to be a leader, but it's the right thing to do.
They
That
should have
would've
just
made
sent
sense.
them to Dragonstone instead. I felt like that would have been.
Okay, also, the only reason why he got sent to the Black was because Grey Worm was mad at him. But then Grey Worm leaves.
Worm
So who
leaves.
cares who...
And where does he go off again? Where does Grey Worm go?
North.
North?
He's in North, right.
Nah.
North.
No.
But, the league
Nah.
said he's
It's
going
in
back to
Potato.
Essos to, like, liberate the slave cities, but that didn't get
No.
put in there.
He went back to that. No.
To die by the toxic butterflies. You guys fucking stupid. Literally the dumbest. Literally, she says like, yeah, the people of North have a immunity to the toxic butterflies, and I'm like, okay, Grey Worm, are you going there to die? Okay,
Yes.
Cool.
He's lost
But
Sunday.
anyways,
he has no purpose.
literally the only reason why John was sent to the Black was an agreement with Grey Worm. Only Grey Worm. But
Who
guess who the fuck leaves? Grey Worm.
Worm.
So what is stopping?
Hey, he has to fulfill his destiny, bro.
Oh my god! Literally sounds like it'd be like, okay, you can just stay in Winterfell. No one's gonna know. Literally, that's it. Like he doesn't have to go up north for nothing. It's just like, dude, the logic makes no sense.
He's an honorable man.
Just try not to think too hard about it. I guess.
Yeah, and then
That's what
yeah.
they're saying.
That's what
Just
they're-
don't think too hard. Just consume this fucking show and ask zero questions.
And then obviously Arya goes basically.
See, you
because
get
she's
mad
Christopher
when you
Columbus,
ask
basically.
questions, bro. Like if you don't ask questions, you don't get mad and you enjoy it.
yeah, just fucking
But
blindly
I like,
consume.
but, yeah, exactly.
Consume media. I'm just gonna consume media and be unquestionable to it.
Why do you describe like most Americans right now?
Yeah, it's like don't ask questions. Like anything thought provoking, don't ask questions. Even though this series was built on about thought provoking like questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so I bring up Arya. You know, she's going to go discover America or something like that. And then Sansa, of course, she's now Queen of the North. You know, so the
Yeah, I was
Starks they
cool. I
all
was
go
cool
back
with
to
that.
where it's. Yeah, I'm okay with that
That was
because
cool.
it's
Bro.
right.
It
Best
felt right.
moment was when Ghost came out. I know it's like.
Oh yeah, like bring up that
Oh,
moment because
thank
you
God.
thought that's what redeemed
Oh my
the
God.
episode for you.
That was the only redeeming quality of like that episode or the whole season. I was like, oh, finally John pet the dog. Thank God.
I mean, did you see that? Like, you know that famous bar meme where everyone in the bar is cheering.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
I've seen
they
that.
they
Oh,
green
yeah.
screened that scene, and then
Yeah.
everyone was cheering that he finally pet Ghost because he didn't get to pet Ghost 2 episodes ago, and everybody had a big uproar.
Wait, that was only 2 episodes ago? Jesus Christ.
It feels like forever
It's like
ago
forever.
at this point.
It felt like
you
forever ago, bro.
know? You know, but yeah, so there's that. And then, of course, like, let's go to the moment where, you know, Tyrion is, like, setting up the chairs, you know, the council that they have there.
What the hell?
Dumb as
The
hell.
literally, Tyrion's last line is that running joke about the honeycomb and the jackass going
And
to
he
a
never
brothel.
heard. We never.
And we never
heard.
got to hear the punchline to. He teased it twice in the past. Once he was being
times.
questioned.
Yeah, and I'm like the scene, the gist of what I got from that scene was like, okay, these jokes are dumb. We didn't really need to dedicate this
It was
much
like a yuck
amount of
joke,
time
yeah.
for this when we could have like had an extended
That's what I
death
mean.
scene.
That's also what I mean by like it's so it feels so empty. Like they're trying at they're trying at it, but it just falls flat. And, it's
and also,
what is this?
the
It's
cycle continues.
so-
There was already like seeds of like.
The whole thing with full circle
Descent.
doesn't also apply just to the Starks, but also to Jamie and
Oh yeah,
Cersei.
there is
Yeah.
no arcs. Like the whole message I'm getting from the show is like there are no arcs. There
I
is
mean,
no growth.
I'll say this much:
there is
the
no
one
change.
character, and I saw this from a video from Cosmonaut Variety Hour.
Oh,
he
did you
mentioned-
watch it already?
Yeah, he mentioned
damn it, I was
that.
gonna watch that.
Yeah, he mentioned that Theon was probably the only character this season that had a good arc.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
His arc was perfect.
He
you know,
redeemed
everything
like
else.
he was a bad guy. Then he grew as a person, and he
Yeah.
died when he needed to.
Yeah, and it was the right call. You know, like
He did the right
Yeah.
thing and died. Cool.
I feel
Okay,
like
so on
everybody
that-
that died had like
so-
a good arc.
right.
Yeah.
So we're in the home stretch right
Oh,
now.
people died.
What about
Oh.
the Hound?
Oh no, he
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
have a. Clegane Bowl was kind of dumb. Thinking
liked-
about it now.
Wait,
I liked Clegane Bowl.
I didn't like
I'll
Clegane
I'll
Bowl.
give it this.
What?
I liked Clegane Bowl.
How? What?
I thought it was.
There was
epic.
really no reason
because,
for it to happen.
Like, there's been a lot of hype about it.
Well, there was a reason
Yeah.
for it to happen other than hype, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, it doesn't really make
And
sense
then
for
it
him to
didn't
even fight him
It didn't
anymore.
even live up to the hype. It
Like,
wasn't even
okay, well,
good, but,
that
like-
and like it doesn't really make sense for him to even fight him anymore because like Clegane or Sand or what's the mountain?
Sand. Okay, the mountain
Gregor?
is
Gregor Clegane
Yeah.
is basically dead, so he was fighting a zombie,
Right.
and he already kind of like redeemed himself already, and then that kind of just ruined it because like, oh, I'm just gonna continue fighting the ghosts of something that didn't need to be done. Like he already grew as a person. Why does he need to fight his brother when his brother is basically dead?
Right.
It was a zombie.
Right.
He's
Okay.
fighting a zombie.
Yeah, sure.
That's true.
Okay, so let's
But he never grew as a person. What do you
Yes,
mean
he
he
did.
grew as a person?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, did.
How?
Are you
He
talking
became
about the
like
mountain?
when?
or
The
the hound?
mount, the hound.
How?
After
Oh, the hound
Rhea-
absolutely grew. Yeah.
After
How?
Rhea-
How did he grow as a
He
person?
absolutely
After-
grew. Did you
especially-
Just because he started following the Lord of Light or
that
whatever, or those
that
guys.
last moment with Arya though, like where
Yeah,
he,
That was telling him, don't be like me.
yeah, but still, it's
Don't be
him-
like me. Don't be.
It's still
Don't
Okay,
his
wait,
follow
so
his
wait,
path.
Jorge,
Don't
what
be
did you want
die.
to see? You want to see him be completely good and turn into good boy the Hound? Good boy Sandra
No,
Clegane?
no,
I
That
don't
like
understand.
what
I
he was
don't
doing
understand.
now.
I don't understand.
He was already like a
He
like,
had growth.
He's doing the right thing. That's like growth already. He was
Right.
already doing the right thing. That doesn't mean like you have to discount that as
But
like
he was doing the right thing from the beginning, from like season 2, after the
Yeah.
Blackwater. He was doing the right thing.
yeah, but so why
yeah,
did
but then
he
he abandoned his post because he just couldn't take it anymore at Blackwater. Remember?
Yeah, he
But
did that.
he went over to save Sansa, and Sansa didn't want to leave.
So that's what I'm
They
saying.
keep
It's
on.
not an arc.
That's-
It's a circle because he went back to the mountain.
That's the okay.
He went back
okay.
to the mountain because that was the only thing he was. That was his arc.
Why does
He needed
there
to
is
go
no
back
arc.
and finish that. He finished his brother.
The mountain is dead. They didn't even have a meaningful conversation. There was nothing.
All right, so let's
I
get
was like,
so.
He
Okay.
didn't even conquer his
All right.
fear of fire.
So we're in the home stretch
You're
right
wrong.
now
I'm right.
in terms of the series.
Why? You
finale.
asked 0 questions about the show. You're just consuming it like verbatim.
Okay, Ram. Okay, so we're in the home stretch in terms of the series finale element. Let's just talk about the whole season as a whole, just summing it up. Let's be nice to the season. Let's talk about some of our favorite moments of the season. Maybe our favorite episode,
When it
the 6
ended.
episodes.
That was my favorite.
That was
scene.
a lot. That
was
was
my favorite.
counterproductive to what we're
Let's
trying to do
be
here.
like legitimately good stuff, okay? Legitimately good stuff that we liked during the season.
The
like
credits
maybe
were
episodes.
rolling.
Counterproductive.
Episode 2 was good.
I love those first. I
Episode
like
two.
those first 2 episodes. I did. Because,
First one was alright.
Well, it's the calm before the storm, kind of.
Oh
you know,
my
it's
God.
like-
Episode 2 I like. Episode 3 I was underwhelmed.
Do you guys feel like the whole battle of Winterfell was just darkly filmed, like everybody else felt?
That was
felt
alright.
I actually did not think
It's
that.
alright.
No, I thought it was good because it was a night battle. What do you want him to
I
do?
get it.
Like,
I mean that image of all the Dothraki and the fire and everything
That's
else
cool.
being extinguished.
That's
That is
awesome.
a powerful image and everything else. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
I think it was because we were watching it on
They
streaming.
said the Dothraki first.
You know, if we were
but-
watching it on like Blu-ray, a disc or something, it would probably look even better overall. You know, I mean, it was well shot even though it was dark.
Wait, I have a gripe. Euron Greyjoy killing, air quotes, Jaime Lannister. Jaime Lannister was the baddest ass in Westeros.
Well, he only had one hand though.
But even with his one hand, he fought by himself during the Battle of Winterfell, only to get fucked up by Euron Greyjoy.
Yeah.
The Euron Greyjoy was like the shittiest character ever made. Like, why do you?
They just try to emphasize Euron by making him a bigger personality. Didn't kill him. They try to
the bricks killed him.
Yeah, but like I said, like
I know, but you know what I mean. Like
also,
like, that whole scene was so stupid.
When like Sansa was like, "Oh, the North will be independent," I'm like, why didn't Yara just be like, "Oh, the Iron Islands will be independent"?
Here.
I'm like,
that would have made sense. You know, would have played into.
Wasn't that her whole point? Was like so
it
the Iron Islands
into the whole theme of like the strong women in the series. Which, by the way, speaking of the strong women element, I took. And a lot of people took issue with a line that Sansa mentioned in terms of like her trauma, with Ramsay and all that, saying if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be where I am. I'm sorry, that is flimsy. That is problematic. I hate using that term sometimes because it's so overused, but it's true. Like that moment, I think it was episode 2 where she just kind of said,
when she was talking to Sandor.
Yeah, it's just saying, if none of that happened, I wouldn't be where I am. I mean, I get what they were trying to go for, saying you could move on from your past trauma and you could become stronger by dealing with it, but the way that was executed in that dialogue in particular, that just rubbed me the wrong way.
Really? I didn't think that.
Well,
I thought that it was very. She's just saying that. I don't know. I mean, I see why people have a problem with it, but for me, I didn't think that.
So would you say you thought what it was trying to go for, it made sense for you, like her trying to move on from the past trauma, from like Ramsay or like Joffrey?
She's saying
and
that
everything else.
Think of where she was before. I mean, look, I'm saying that I think that she kind of had a point. I mean, sometimes we have to learn hard lessons. We have to. It's hard. It's hard lessons.
Like I don't have an issue with the notion or the sentiment of what she's trying to go for. I think I just have issue with like how it was executed and the dialogue overall. Like everybody who's a victim of something like that, that's able to succeed or get stronger despite the irreparable damage that might have happened to you. Yeah. That is something that should be discussed, obviously, and is something that's respectable and shows a strength, especially given the times we're in right now with like a lot of women coming out with their own stories of abuse and trauma. It just I knew what they were trying to go for, and I thought it was almost there, but it just rubbed me the wrong way in terms of dialogue. But okay, so I will say this much: I did like those first 2 episodes quite a bit. I don't know. I just felt like even episode 2, which felt very fan servicey in terms of like getting certain characters together around the campfire.
Yeah.
Tyrion, Jaime, Brienne, Pod, Davos. I'm happy Davos survived. I love Davos. Seeing them together, like making their own breakfast club. Tormund, of course. Oh, poor Tormund. He never got a chance to be with Brienne, even after Jaime died. Here, just to wrap this all up overall, we're in the closing stretch now with this whole discussion on Game of Thrones, this whole series, last season. Here's the issue. This is probably the biggest...
Who says there is an issue?
Okay, Jorge. This is the biggest. This is the biggest series maybe of the decade in terms of blockbuster status and like the cultural thing. Because we're in the age of streaming. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. They're releasing shows by the season, like an album. Like they're releasing it all at once. There used to be this thing called like the water cooler, where after like on Monday when you get to work or something, you would discuss what happened on a show last night. Lost was a show that had that. That ended very polarizingly.
So Dexter.
Dexter had
I was looking at Dexter's ratings.
The Sopranos, man.
The Sopranos
last season, and it had pretty high ratings throughout the whole season 8, and then the last episode had like a 4.9.
Yeah, that's a notorious series finale. But like that's the thing, Game of Thrones, it shows the power of the show and how big it became. It became a cultural phenomenon of its own. It became one of the last big series that people watched weekly every time an episode came out and discussed in the water cooler, because everybody's now used to just watching everything at once, like shows on Netflix, or like I mentioned, Amazon or Hulu, anything like, Stranger Things is going to come out on July 4th, which I'm super hyped about, and I'm probably going to binge all at once that midnight when it drops. But that's what was the big thing. It was such a big cultural phenomenon based on this series of books that aren't even finished yet. It just goes to show like how much people love these characters, love the world of Westeros that George R.R. Martin created. And it also showcases just the power of fantasy storytelling on a big scale and the power that television has over other storytelling mediums these days, because the thing with television is that it gives writers and directors a chance to stretch out the story, to develop these characters. So it's almost novelistic, and it is novelistic in a way, which makes sense. It's based on A Song of Ice and Fire books, which, by the way, that moment with Sam bringing out the book and where they read A Song of Ice and Fire. It's like that whole idea where people say the title of the movie, like Will Smith saying, "We're some kind of Suicide Squad," or something like that, where it's just like, okay.
Or when they say Independence Day on Independence Day.
I was waiting for them like, that was a real Game of Thrones.
I would have clapped actually if that happened. I would have actually applauded because
that was a real Game of Thrones.
Go all the way with that cringe, okay? If you're gonna make me cringe,
well,
go all the way.
they can't say that because that's just one book. Then they would have to say.
They do say Game of Thrones in the first
Oh, yeah,
season.
first season.
But like no, but it'll be
That
like
was a crazy Game
when
of
you
Thrones.
play the Game of Thrones, you either win or you die.
but then John, when he was walking
Right.
into the north to become Night King.
I know, like, there was a very...
He looks back into the camera.
Become Night King.
Yeah, but then he looks back in the camera and then says, looks directly at him like, that was a Game of Thrones.
I mean, I kind of, image-wise or symbolically, I kind of like the idea that the first shot of the very first episode and the very last shot are kind of thematically consistent.
I was thinking the same thing.
I like that. I like that, like, because it plays into the whole arc that they're trying to attempt to say of like the whole.
Yeah,
that's
the
circle.
whole key of trying to attempt.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like the whole full circle thing. I guess that's what they're trying to say. What like how all the characters are going full circle, going back to where they started, and maybe they're doomed to repeat the same cycle over and over again. You know, like how history repeats itself. That whole idea.
The Night King.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Like, what it will repeat itself all over again for the spin-offs for Arya and Sansa and Jon. Like, there's not gonna be spin-offs probably, but it felt like that, didn't it? It felt like they were setting up spin-offs.
Oh yeah, no, those are spin-off scenes.
Although they're gonna focus more on prequels, which will feature Naomi Watts. Thankfully, D&D won't be on there. They're gonna be focused on whatever Star Wars trilogy they're gonna create. But
I hope. Yeah, they're probably not gonna get that. So
yeah, but like, okay, so that's the thing. Like, I still appreciate. Like, I will still value those first. I actually really loved season 6. I know it deviated away from the books.
and the last great episode was season 6, episode 10.
Yeah, like the season finale of season 6.
I don't know, man.
I love that finale so much because it just felt like.
Was that the blowing up of the step?
Yeah.
Or was that 9?
Was it?
Yeah, that was 10. That was the last episode.
Yeah, that was 10.
Oh,
9 was
You know, Arya killing.
I'm rewatching the series, so I'm on season 5 right now. So when the sparrows first get introduced,
Right.
Oh my God.
I'm a little bit, yeah.
That was
Right.
I'm a little bit lost.
That's the thing. But who would you say, in terms of actors, who would you say were the MVPs of this season?
Lena Headey,
Emilia Clarke.
Emilia Clarke.
Emilia Clarke. Yeah, Emilia did a great job
Bruh,
selling that whole
Peter
ordeal.
That scene was honestly like at first
Peter Dinklage.
as underdeveloped and
Dude,
terrible
Emilia
was
Clarke really
when she's on
sold
when
it.
she's on Dragon and she's looking through her keep.
Oh yeah.
It's so
Really
funny
fine
because
acting. Really
I've seen
fine
Emilia Clarke
really amazing.
in non-Game of Thrones stuff, and I haven't been that impressed, but I love her on the show so much.
Dude, like there was an interview where she said that when she read the final script, she just like wanderlessly aimed like London crying. Or
I mean, we've all seen that video of like numerous cast members basically being passive aggressive to D&D.
Dude, I'm
where
telling
Kit
you.
Harington was like,
Disappointed.
he was disappointed, and
Did
then Peter Dinklage, it felt like he had snipers on him when he was like, there are no better writers on TV than Dave Benioff.
Like,
and
okay, I
Rice.
could tell, I could like give it to like fans being disappointed. Like that's one thing, but like when the actual people working on it don't like it,
Dude,
like
even,
come on.
even,
Yeah,
what's
like
the-
Colin
what's
Hill
Grey-
mentioned,
Grey-
basically,
Grey Worm's
yeah.
actor and Gendy's
Gendry.
actor. When they're like,
Story.
character development,
Story,
throw it out.
and then Gendy's actor was like, I should stop talking. You know, he was basically like, they were basically like subtly giving the finger to D&D there.
Yeah,
It's-
I mean, like, come on, even when it's like
give it 2 years, and actors will just talk about, I was disappointed. They
You know
can't say it now.
You know who
some of
else's
them.
performance was really great was Sam's when he finds out that his
was a great moment.
father and brother get.
everybody was
That's the
doing
thing. There were
great.
great moments. There were great moments throughout the season where I was like, "Oh,
But that doesn't make it redeemed. That
That's
still
the
doesn't
issue.
make it
It's
redeeming
like
for me, though.
It's just it feels very anticlimactic. I think is a way to put it. And at least in our case, Jorge seemed to be okay with it.
It was
More power to you, Jorge.
I enjoyed it for what it was.
Okay.
I know that people said, "Oh, they're dumb, they're stupid," Well, you should
Yeah,
ask,
but like,
you should ask questions.
Well,
what do
know
you
what?
say?
It's
No,
just-
what do you say when even the actors hate working on
Yeah.
it? Like, come on, like you can't.
And-
like,
They didn't
Because
hate
they
it
were
working on
like-
it. They just
were
were
But
disappointed
They were
with what they were
disappointed with what
They were
had.
disappointed with what they had.
Because
Yeah.
they knew
And
that it was
I
not-
said it before, and I'll say it again. It wasn't the best season.
It's just
but
because
I think everyone agrees with
But
that.
No, it was the
I
worst
enjoyed it. I enjoyed the season. I enjoyed
Yeah.
the way they took the series
Okay.
season 2 on how it
This
ended.
is
I
actually
enjoyed-
the
I
worst-
enjoyed that.
I
This is
enjoyed
actually
it in the
worst
moment.
season for
It's
me.
one of those things where it's like, I enjoy watching it in the moment, but when you reflect, for me, when I
Yeah, if
reflect
you
on
enjoy-
it,
yeah.
I'm like, man, I really wish they had more episodes or just
Yeah.
just go 10 episodes. Why not?
I see that. I see that.
Why
And I
not?
said that before.
Right.
I said it from different episodes. Like I hated how they killed Rhaegar.
Yeah.
Rhaegar.
like
The
okay, like
dragon.
I can take one
I
like.
hated how they fucking just send the ghost to the north without
Right.
fucking saying goodbye. I hated that they didn't kill enough people in episode 3.
Well,
But,
I
you
think
know-
we're all pretty content that you seem satisfied with the way the season ended. Like, we're like, in my case, in Ram's case, or in Maddie's case, we were pretty.
I mean,
underwhelmed.
like I can
Or-
understand like the
yeah.
event, like occasional plot hole because I've like looked over it from
Yeah.
season 5 onwards.
Sure.
But like when every episode is just full of
Yeah,
it.
where's
it's just
Daria?
like,
Where's Mira? Where are they?
Oh, Mira, man,
Poor
she
Mira.
got really.
I thought she died. Did
No,
she
she
not
No,
die?
left.
she just
She
left,
just left.
after Bran was like, "Yeah, I don't need you anymore,"
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
which
she
is-
never heard from him again.
Which is
I thought
which
that
is
she
weird because
died
he was like,
in season.
"Oh, I'm not me anymore," and then he becomes king. You know.
No,
Yeah.
because I thought I was talking to somebody
Just
and someone was like,
fucking
"Yeah, Mira died."
No,
Did I
Mira
not-
didn't
No, she
die.
did not die. She just
left.
leaves.
But I was thinking about Daria. I'm like, who Daria?
She's not even
is?
mentioned ever
No, who cares
again.
about Daria?
Daria.
She's like
Quaithe.
that.
We were talking about Quaithe
No,
too.
Quaithe.
No Quaithe.
Yeah.
No, that dude in the beginning in the very first.
I
episode
think
with Daenerys.
also there was
Like,
like
so many people.
conversation where it's like the reason why maybe people hate it more is because like it's so close to like Endgame, and that was like kind of like similar
A
and like
perfectly
they're
satisfying conclusion to
Yeah.
a long, decade-long story, which is almost similar to this, almost 8
almost
to 9
similar,
years.
but like
You know.
You can't really compare it.
I mean,
It's
sure,
so-
like
it's-
Endgame and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that's on the big screen,
Yeah.
and that's a movie-based thing, and this is a television series and all. But the
But-
thing with the MCU is that it followed the television formula by releasing multiple movies a year, like their own episodes, and like the big Avengers movies, the crossover stuff is like just like in the comics. It's what
you would
we
argue.
can
I
take-
could argue that TV shows have a better chance of like tying up like
Yeah,
plot lines than
Yeah.
movies
And
do,
this
but for
didn't.
some reason
yeah.
the,
It's just like
the Endgame
Sure,
did that way better.
Endgame had a lot of fan service, just like this one kind of did, but it made sense thematically with what they were trying to go for.
Yeah, what was the theme of this?
Everything goes full circle.
Nothing
Back
mattered.
to
yeah,
the
that's what I
beginning.
was thinking too. I was
History
I was
repeats
really trying
itself.
To think. I'm like, nobody who ended up happy in this. Who ended up with what they wanted? Like
Sansa.
really, Sansa. And then that was who came up. Maybe
Sure.
Arya, I guess.
To an
too.
extent.
Again,
John
maybe
just kind of
Gendry.
resigned himself, saying, "You know what? Yeah, this is fine." Like that's what John was basically at the end. He's like, "Yeah, I'll just deal with whatever I did. He'll probably meet some other woman along his journey, and then repeat
But
the same
it's
thing
just-
over and over again."
It's just
No, but that's consistent
all the
with
sacrifices you make,
that's consistent
all the
with,
effort you put into it. It
R.
means
Martin
nothing in
books
the
though.
end.
He leaves them open ended. He doesn't close. He doesn't have like a closing of them. They're open ended like most of his books. Like I read the Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Which one is that?
The Night of the Seven Kingdoms basically
It's
Egg
not, I don't think it's
and
in the.
and Duncan. Duncan and
Egg and
Egg.
Dunk.
Their stories.
Right.
And
Oh, that's
he leaves them open ended. He never closed the he didn't go circle. So it's kind of like how this thing ended. Basically leaving open to other stories.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay. That's an interesting way to put it. So we're gonna wrap this up right now. So just to
Are
sum
we?
up our thoughts, this final season has definitely been mixed for majority of critics and audiences, given the big nature of the show, given how popular the show has become over the years as a cultural phenomenon on its own. I think it's worth saying that George R. R. Martin, whether he's like writing The Winds of Winter as we speak, if he is writing it at all,
He is.
and then he has that. What's the last book supposed to be?
The Dreams of Spring.
Dreams of Spring. Yeah.
Dreams of
I'm
Winter.
curious to see if the endings that he had in those books are going to be similar to what we saw on screen, or he's just gonna.
He might change it.
He just
Like,
changes
oh,
it
shit.
up just to satisfy fans who wished it was going to be different from the
So
series.
the
on
big
TV.
difference about the books is that the character development in the books is so deep, and there's so many other characters.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I thought
Yeah,
the character
it's
development for the
just-
first 4 to 5 seasons was deep.
Yeah,
Well,
I know.
the
I don't know
thing
why
is-
they couldn't
okay,
do that.
okay, so they in order because there's so many more characters in the books than in the film.
They even alter some of the
show.
characters' names on the show because of the nature.
Yara and
Like
Asha.
Yara had like 2 sisters and like 2 older brothers.
Yeah.
Like.
Doesn't Rob's wife have a different name?
Yes, it's totally different from the one in the show.
Yeah.
There's
certain plot details are different too. You know.
Yeah.
Thank
there
God
were
for
so
the
many
Amazon
other.
X-ray.
There's so many other houses around. Like it's crazy, but
yeah, of
but
course.
one of the thing is like you, in order for them, like I already read some of the first chapters from Winds of Winter, and they're kind of the same style as the other ones. They just the story continues, and it's more Stannis being on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, sure.
You know, stuff like that, but.
Okay, so we're reaching an hour now. We're about to close this, but to sum it all up for all of us, it seems like in my case, in Ram's case, and in Maddie's case, we'd agree. Like we wanted so much more from this season, and we just felt very underwhelmed with where the writers took it.
I don't even know if I wanted more. I just wanted good.
Something.
What a good.
I wanted good, not like.
Would you guys agree that it should have just been 10 episodes?
Yeah.
The same
At
thing with last season.
the minimum, it should have been 10.
Yeah, it should have been.
It should have been 10 episodes, and maybe if you want to do
like
one more.
if we were talking about like really the only legitimate big mistake, it was going to 6 episodes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think everyone can agree on
Like
that.
literally everyone, 100% of people would agree that 10 episodes would have been the bare minimum, and yet these D&D did not want to do 10.
Well, we'll see if they will channel their creative energy into whatever Star Wars trilogy they have.
Nah, man, they could do it in 2 movies.
Weren't they gonna do some like
Confederate.
Oh,
Confederate thing?
that's another can of worms.
That's why they messed up Game of Thrones, because it's that people hated it, their idea of their.
Well, it's a bad idea.
What?
I'm sorry.
But it was.
I don't think we need to
develop yet, and then people
Okay,
just
how-
start shitting on it. That's what I hate. Like people just hear about it and are like, no, can't happen.
That's a whole
Like,
other
just-
topic in terms of like the age of outrage or whatever. But here, okay, so to wrap this all up, Jorge, say your last piece in terms of why you think you felt okay with this last season.
All right, so this season for me was okay because the story ended the way it was meant to end, at least in my opinion. You know, it had an ending that was satisfying to an end. It wasn't
To a certain extent.
Yeah, to a certain extent. But I mean, I like most of the season, not all of it, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole series as a whole, and yeah, it was good.
Battle of the Bastards is still the best episode, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's still pretty. Yeah, it's still good.
I feel like season 1, episode 9, so many things happened
With Ned, yeah.
with so much less.
So much emotion in that episode.
No, on budget, such a less budget.
Yeah, but you felt the emotional aspect of it
Yeah.
because of the emotional weight.
Ned
wow.
beheading,
Yeah.
Rob winning the
Absolutely.
the Kingslayer capture, all that stuff.
Right. So we're gonna wrap this up now. I just wanted to thank all of you guys for participating. You guys are the very first guests on the Blank Green Canvas podcast.
Blank green canvas. I feel honored, man. I feel
I
honored.
never say. I don't get to say the last words. Maddie doesn't get to say the last words.
All right.
You guys
so,
already said last words.
Did we? Oh, I didn't.
the
I didn't,
hell?
So
I
here's the
didn't realize
thing.
that was the last
I'm
words.
just going to conclude by asking each of you, Ram, do you have anything to
No,
plug?
Maddie can go first.
Do you have? Okay, Maddie, do you have anything to plug? Your Instagram
Oh,
or
plug! I
something?
thought it was like
Yeah.
this
Plug.
last episode. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
No, I have nothing to plug. I'm not really active on my social media.
Oh, I have something to plug.
Fair enough. Okay, Ram.
Go watch Breaking Bad. A better show.
True.
Shut the hell up.
Show that.
It is a better show.
an
No, it's
ending.
not.
Show that.
Oh,
ending.
that
It
is
has
not
more
a better
satisfying
show.
It's the
ending,
goat.
more
It's not.
Satisfying
last
ending.
season.
It's a
good
good
message.
show. It's not
Yeah,
a
great
better show.
message.
A good
Honest-
message.
No, it is a
Had
great
a
show.
unifying theme.
It is a great
Competent
show.
writers. Great actors.
Honestly,
great
amazing,
cinematography.
amazing show.
I don't
And
know, bro. The last
that's the only
season,
show
the
I
last
really
season was
watched.
kind of whack.
Are you kidding?
Be honest.
What
That
the
last season
hell?
is
I
really
thought the
good.
same
The
thing.
last
I thought
season
the
was
same
kinda whack.
thing.
Honestly,
I
Mind
thought the same
Dads.
thing.
Oh my
Right.
god.
I like the first season. I like the
kind of
second
thought the same
season.
thing, but
Right.
now I'm starting to change my. I'm gonna have to rewatch it to change my really.
Aw,
good
Breaking
flow.
Bad. Joe, well, go watch Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I think I misread. it.
I waited for Game of Thrones to end to see if it would dethrone Breaking Bad.
And
guess
nope.
what?
No, it
Did
doesn't.
not.
Okay, but Ram, you also have a podcast of your own, obviously.
Yeah, listen to Bad Advice.
No, you're.
No, this is
current
Boys Do
podcast.
Cry. Go to boysdocry.com. It's a mental health podcast.
Mental health. All of you
Yeah,
that
I'm
are
gonna have to.
you're gonna need some mental.
I'm gonna have to
mental
have
health.
something. Honestly, I did mention like when I went to therapy like 2 weeks ago. I tell him like, yeah, Game of Thrones is really bugging me, but I don't want to like spend.
Are you gonna have a Game of Thrones themed episode?
Yeah, but yeah, the message got kids. Nothing matters. Those are a whole big convoluted waste of time to end up saying nothing matters. You're never gonna grow as a person, so give up
Do you have
now.
any social media do you want to plug?
Twitter, Hypomatic Local, Instagram, Oversharing without a G.
And Jorge?
I'm gonna be coming out with my new podcast, Loudest Bark, soon. It's a sports podcast for Fresno and Fresno sports.
Wonderful, locally, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
local Fresno State and Fresno sports.
Looking forward to the football season.
It should be up and running in the fall. I'm still tweaking the last few things of it, and it's called the Loudest Bark. It will be called the Loudest Bark.
That's a great
We'll
name.
be on we'll be on Instagram and Twitter as the Loudest Bark.
As it's spelled. And do you want to plug in your own accounts on Instagram or Twitter?
Yeah,
Boom Artistic.
Boom Artistic. I'm done with that series of Boom Artistic pictures. But definitely check me out on my Twitter at JRod Collegiate. Yeah.
All right, so that was the first episode of the Blank Green Canvas podcast. I am Noah Villaverde, host of the Blank Green Canvas podcast, and you could tune in again next week when I discuss Aladdin. Thank you very much, and I'll be back with you next week.
Bye.